Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Harley Quinn. Starting with episode 9, we are once again just taking it as we go, seeing how many episodes we end up doing. At least 2, maybe 3, probably not more than 3. Probably not. So last we left off, Harley has been inducted into the Legion of Doom. She has been brought in and is kind of just being shown around at the moment when we find Joker in one of the, I guess, conference rooms. So yeah, obviously we're probably going to continue right off that. Harley and Joker having a confrontation. And this was her big goal. She wanted to get into Legion of Doom as a way to stick it to the Joker and make a name for herself. So it's going to be interesting to see where they take this. In the meantime, her and Ivy are kind of having a little bit of an issue with each other lately. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come back from that as well. Now there's, I think, 13 episodes in this season. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, 13. So, yeah, even if we do 3 episodes today, there'll still be like 2 more after that, and we're not doing 5 episodes today. I can pretty much guarantee that. But we'll see. We'll take it as we go. And hopefully, no matter what, we just enjoy it. Now, we are in the second half of the season here, basically. And I did basically say last time that it seems like the first half of the season is setting up Harley's journey into making her own name. Getting her name out there for the public, trying to get a nemesis, trying to get a layer, trying to get a crew, all of that jazz. That's what this first half of the season seemed to be focusing on, with the end goal of being brought into the Legion of Doom. Now she has at the midway point, and we're now going to move into what is basically going to be the end game of the season. Now, clearly her thing is with the Joker, but I don't think that the Joker's going to die at the end of the season. There will probably be villain deaths, but I don't think it'll be the Joker. He is the main villain, outside of Harley, of course, because, you know. But I don't think he's gonna die. So I think more of this is that the end game for this season is going to be more about rebuilding Harley and Ivy's relationship, and Harley learning to focus more on stuff like that, as well as making her own name rather than clinging to others. Because let's be perfectly honest here. She's using the Legion of Doom. She doesn't necessarily really want to be a part of them. She wants to use them to get back at the Joker. She wants to use them to make her name. She's using it for her own goals, but she doesn't actually, the Legion of Doom isn't actually her real goal here. So I think that's going to be where this, where the second half of this season is going. At least that's based on what we've gotten so far, and based on how this first season seems to be working itself. Now, I do think that all of the members of Harley's crew will get out of this just fine. I don't know if we'll ever get any more after this, like any more members of the crew. I don't know, maybe we'll see. But at this point, I think we've got the crew kind of firmly in place, at least for now. And we're going to focus more on the bigger picture, the bigger story and everything. And again, as I said, rebuilding the relationship with Ivy, which is going to be, I feel, important for this next half. But we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, we're just going to get this started and hope for the best with however many episodes we end up watching today. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so I was looking up Charlie Adler, the voice of the father, because he was one I definitely wanted to, well, figure out who it was. And he's been in a lot. Like, if we go down the list here, in terms of movies, he was in those old Ronald McDonald cartoon movies. I don't know if anyone had ever seen those. I kind of grew up with them. But he was the Hamburglar in that. He was in a couple other like little movies here and there. He was in Tiny Toons. He was Buster Bunny, one of the main characters of Tiny Toons. He had additional voices in the DuckTales movie from 1990. And he was the voice of Spike in the original 1986 My Little Pony movie. But for television stuff, he's Ed Bighead. Well, and Bev Bighead. He's the Big Heads from Rocko's Modern Life. And I think that's where I recognized the voice from. I think it was close enough to Ed Bighead to where I recognized it from there. But aside from that, he's also voiced MODOK in a couple different things. He was MODOK in Marvel's Avengers Assemble and Phineas and Ferb, because there was the Marvel episode of that. He was some characters in Ben 10 Omniverse. He was in just various other things I've seen randomly. Oh, he was Mr. Whiskers in Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. That's a fun one because I watched that all the time growing up. He was in Billy and Mandy. He was in Rugrats. The Wild Thornberries, Johnny Bravo, all these classic cartoons. He was Ickis in Ah Real Monsters. It's like just all this stuff that I've seen him in, or heard his voice in, rather. It's like he was a big ass name. Like, let's be honest, he's a big ass name in voice acting. This dude's been in pretty much everything. It's wild. And this is going back like all the way to the early 90s where he started in terms of television, at least in MLP. But he's been in, like, again, everything. He's even been in plenty of video games, according to this, including he played a lot of roles in Marvel Superhero Squad Online. Like, holy crap. But he's been in a lot of different stuff. I'm just looking down this list, and it's insane. He was Professor Monkey for a Head in the Earthworm Jim game? It's like, geez, that's insane. It's like, I knew I recognized the voice, though. But anyway. So, our first of these two episodes, episode 9, had Harley kind of becoming a full-fledged member of the Legion of Doom and just kind of getting into things. One of the things we see happens, though, is that she starts to kind of reconnect with the Joker. Now, at first, she's fully against him and everything, and even kind of calling him out on his bullshit, but she does eventually fall for it again. And it's like, God damn it, Harley. And I know that's a thing. That's always been a thing with Harley. Whenever she's tried to get out, she's always come back and everything. And it's always been a problem with her what is it called? Crap. I just had it in my head, and now I forgot it. But the codependency thing she has for him, it's like just so blatantly toxic, and it's so super obvious that he's fucking with her. Like, the entire time during that episode, it's like he is so manipulating the shit out of her, and yet she was once again falling for it. It's like, and I'm not even, again, because this is Harley Quinn, I'm not even like upset necessarily that it's like that the writers chose to do this again. Actually, I think it was smart. And I think it was smart to have it be quite a long time since the last time she fell for his bullshit. Because it shows that she still has that deep inside her and she still has to continue to work past it. Um, so I actually think that was a very smart move. Even if like I'm just like yelling at the screen the entire time, it's like you are an idiot. Um, but yeah, it's like I think it was actually a good move to do, and I think this was probably the right way to do it. And once again, he, well, in this case, tossed her out of the helicopter. He just threw her away when his use for her was over. Um, so yeah. So through all of this, she has a falling out with her crew because they find out, and Ivy definitely like the falling out they've already had. It looked like it could have been fixed, but that kind of fucked it up even further. Um, so after this, in episode 10, with basically nothing left, Harley decides to go to her parents after talking to her sane self, that she's hallucinating, that we've seen before. So she goes home to her family, mainly her mother. That's the main reason she's gone home. So she goes home and tries to reconnect with her mother, who she hasn't seen for years, like 36 months. That's 3 years. Um, so she's trying to reconnect with her mother, and then she starts to remember her horribly shitty father. And I think that's actually a thing that's been in various different canons for Harley, like having a really shitty father. I think that's a thing that's been done before for her. Um, I don't know if the Jewish thing has always been part of it, but either way. Um, so Harley's father was in debt to the mob and everything. Um, so in order to try and pay off that debt and avoid losing any more fingers, well, I mean, which isn't really the best motivation as it is, he forced Harley when she was younger. I want to say she was probably a teen or maybe very early age adult. Um, but he forced her to throw was it an audition or a some kind of tryout or some kind of like competition or something, for gymnastics. But he forced her to throw it for his own sake. And she could have won. It was made very clear that she would have won, that she would have gotten, again, whether it was a competition or a tryout or whatever, she would have definitely got it. um, it was made very clear. And this also, by the way, gives backstory onto why Harley is so gymnastically trained, why she is so agile and able to do all those flips and moves. She actually has a background in gymnastics and was extremely good at it. So it actually develops her character in a very important way with this, outside of just making like it clear that her father's shitty. Um, so we find out her father is still alive, because at first I was thinking he might have been dead. By the way they had worded things and by the way things had been shown in like that cheesy sitcom opening thing. But no, apparently he was in jail. He got out and reconnected with Harley's mom because he manipulated her in the same way that Joker manipulated Harley. And unfortunately, just like with Joker, Harley started to fall for it. And it almost seemed like she wasn't going to. And I was so hoping she wouldn't. And I was thinking it was going to probably end up like, oh, she's not going to fall for it with her dad, and then she's going to eventually realize that this is the exact same bullshit the Joker keeps pulling on her, and that she needs to look at it in the same way so that she doesn't fall for this with the Joker again. But no, she actually fell for it with her dad. And she actually started to like him again, until she found out that he had been sending assassins after her, because of a bounty placed on her head, presumably by the Joker at first, but then it's revealed it was by Penguin's nephew, And it's like, oh, okay. And it was just kind of this random bullshit thing too. It's just like he did it just because she ruined his bar mitzvah, and he's a little pissy about it, and so he used League or Legion of Doom funds and everything. And it's like, what the fuck? But then Ivy, who had been captured during all of this, because the entire thing with the uh, landscaping business or whatever it was, um, that was the entire setup, and it had to have been super obvious. Because, like, I even pointed out in episode 9 that it seemed way too, like, purposefully wrong. Like, again, the fact it just seemed very cheesy and over the top, and the fact that they were bulldozing down a tree while focused on a nest of baby birds in the tree, like, there's that's so over the top that it's ridiculous. So yeah, and it ended up being a trap for Ivy specifically, and it's like, oh my god. And we find out in episode 10, apparently it's Scarecrow, and he plans on dissecting her or some shit, something like that. I don't know. Like, my first thought when I saw it was Scarecrow was, okay, is this Lex Luthor trying to get her to join still? Second thought, and this I think might be the more probable one, Joker has worked with Scarecrow here to kidnap Ivy, and they're not going to kill her, but they're going to do enough in order to lure Harley in, and the Joker's going to try to force Harley to leave the Legion of Doom. That this is all a setup for that kind of shit. And sorry if you hear that ice cream truck out there. That's my current theory. Because Joker is petty enough to do shit like that. But yeah. These were an interesting set of episodes, and it ended Harley taking down her dad, but not killing him. Because, as she put it, he's not worth it. And she realized even her mom, who was the one she thought she could trust, was in on it too and everything, and for really the dumbest reasons. But she left, ended up getting found by Frank, who was driving around the car because the hippie dude, his pot handler, got high off of hallucinogenic honey that also for some reason gave him a raging boner. And Frank was able to tell Harley what happened with Ivy, because Ivy sent out that dandelion and everything, yada yada yada. And so now they're off to try and rescue Ivy, and that's where we leave off. There's 3 episodes left, which means that this is going to be a big finale at this point. Rescuing Ivy is going to be the big finale here. So this isn't quite going where I thought it was going to go for the second half of the season. I thought it was going to be more about, now that Harley's joined the Legion of Doom, more about her mending her relationships and just learning that she doesn't need the Legion of Doom. And that might still happen, but the big thing here is definitely the big focus with this finale, with these final 3 episodes, are going to be rescuing Ivy. And again, I'm still thinking Joker's going to be behind this because it fits. It fits. And so it's going to be Harley, Ivy, possibly Harley's crew if she can get them to come back and join her again. Taking on Scarecrow, Joker, possibly Joker at least, but definitely Scarecrow. And who knows how many goons or whatnot. And so yeah, it's probably going to end on a pretty big note too, if we're doing basically what amounts to is a 3-episode finale. That's definitely what it seems to be going for here. I just don't see how else they could do it at this point. Like these next 3 episodes, like this is a finale. This is the big like final stuff for this season. So it's like there's no way they can do all of this in one episode. There's no way, even 2 episodes. It's like they could possibly do it in 2 episodes, but then there'd be an extra episode at the end for whatever, and it would just probably feel kind of out of place. Um, so it's like they need to have that. They need to have this be a 3 episode finale, in my opinion, to make it really work. Um, which is going to be interesting. Now, last thing to mention before we close out this video. Just as a note, I might have mentioned this before, but just to make it clear here, I am not continuing straight into season 2, like with pretty much any series I react to on here. We are taking a break between seasons. I will react to season 2. Do not worry about that. I will react to it. I am loving this series. But we are going to take a break after season 1 to move on to some other stuff, because I want to keep reactions on the channel fresh, you know? I want to make sure that we're not always just reacting to the exact same stuff at all times, that we keep it so that new stuff keeps coming in, that we... You know what I mean. You know what I tried to double task because I'm trying to bring up my list here as well. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. But yeah, I want to make sure that we can keep moving on and keep having new reactions and stuff, and make it so it's not just the same thing for so long. Because I've seen plenty of reactors react to the same show for, honestly, depending on how long the show goes, over a year. And it's like, yeah, they react to other shows, and those shows will switch up, but it's like, over a year of reacting to one show in the same slot, just I don't know if I could do that. I've always had an issue with trying with like not switching things up, with keeping to the same thing for too long. I get bored of it, and I think that's what would happen if I tried to do this kind of thing for too long. So that's why I want to keep changing it up and keep making it feel fresh and new. So I'm going to reveal right now what is going to replace Harley Quinn Season 1, and what we will move on to, probably, I would say in 2 weeks, because we'll probably finish Harley Quinn next week. I don't think we're going to get to it again this week. So in 2 weeks or so, maybe we'll get to both the final 3 episodes of Harley Quinn next week and the next show, but probably unlikely. But replacing Harley Quinn will be Season 3 of Castlevania. This came out a bit ago at this point. And I've wanted to get to it so bad, but I've been holding off, and I knew I was going to have it in this slot. So, yeah. Castlevania Season 3 will be replacing Harley Quinn after we finish the final 3 episodes, which will all be in the next reaction. The next reaction will, for 100% sure, be the final 3 episodes of Season 1. And we'll get to Season 2 somewhere else down the line. I don't know exactly when at the moment, but basically whenever we can get to it, whenever we can just fit it back into the schedule. We'll take a bit of a break from it, but we'll get back to it for sure. But yeah, so that is the plan. We will be moving on to Castlevania Season 3 after we finish Harley Quinn Season 1 here, and we'll just continue moving on. Either way, tell me in the comments below what you thought of these 2 episodes of Harley Quinn, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.